Hello, Sid Roth here. Welcome to my world where it's naturally supernatural. Guess where I am? The most supernatural city in the world, Jerusalem. And I have been pondering for so long the question, is Islam a peace-loving religion? I mean, President George Bush, President Barack Obama, the Pope, the leaders of the world all say it is. Well, the best person I know to ask is a Messianic Jewish reporter that has lived many years in Israel and gets the Arab press and knows what's really going on.
Is there a supernatural dimension? A world beyond the one we know? Is there life after death? Do angels exist? Can our dreams contain messages from heaven? Can we tap into ancient secrets of the supernatural? Are healing miracles real? Sid Roth has spent over 35 years researching the strange world of the supernatural. Join Sid for this edition of It's Supernatural.
Well, Shira Sorko-Ram, I've known many years. Shira and her husband Ari are pioneers in Messianic Judaism in Israel, but she inherited the gift from her dad, Gordon Lindsay. Gordon and Frida Lindsay started Christ for the Nations, but Gordon was the primary force that chronicled the healing revival of the 40s. But Shira, this doesn't even seem like you. I know you're a fabulous writer and a researcher. Why in the world would you research Islam? That's not your thing. That's not your interest.
It really isn't. And I started last December to, in my mind, I said, we need to find out what in the world is going on when we were watching the White House inviting Muslims into the White House. I wanted to know what was going on. And so I began to research, and I really felt my hair was standing on end because I found that the Muslim Brotherhood organization, which everybody's heard of,
sure,
had a different way than ISIS, had a different way than Al-Qaeda. Instead of coming in with a sword, they decided they were going to come in quietly, very quietly, get leadership, start building mosques. Today, there's over 2,100 mosques. That was in 2010. I'm sure there's many more now. There are mosques all over the place. There's centers all over the place. There's organizations by the tons. And each one is to put in another footprint in the United States. And I could hardly believe my eyes as I began to study this. Then I looked for the press to see what they wrote. And the American press, silent, absolutely silent, absolutely silent. They don't write about the Muslim Brotherhood. I think that part of it's because they're afraid, but part of it's because they want to be politically correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I live in America. I'm being sheltered of the truth about Islam.
Yes.
But to me, a question that I've really pondered this personally for a long time. Something in me gets agitated when I hear a president of the United States, I've heard two presidents of the United States, President Bush and President Obama, use a phrase, Islam is a peace-loving religion. True or false?
Absolutely false. Absolutely
Why?
false. Because of the Quran. What it was about is that Muhammad, at the beginning, when he didn't have a big following, he wrote verses like, your religion is yours and my religion is mine, and it was all peaceful. But after 10 years, he only had 150 converts. So then when he went from Mecca to Medina and began to get an army going and the people followed him, all of his so-called revelations that he received from who he said was Gabriel, the angel, turned very violent. Jihad, the sword, You got to go out. We've got to go out. We've got to conquer the world for Islam. And if they don't want to believe in Islam, then kill them. Take their wives and take slaves.
But wait a second. Today,
yeah,
we hear that this whole jihad really and truly is the jihad of the soul, the inner struggle, not with the sword. What do you say?
Well, in the biography of Muhammad and the hadiths, the short stories, 98% of the description of jihad is violence and sword. There's 2% that talks about the inner soul, and you probably could figure it out. It was at the beginning when Muhammad didn't have a big following. So it's in the Quran, it's in the hadiths, the short stories, it's in his biography. It is jihad by the sword. We are called by Allah to take over the world, and we're going to do it, and people are going to convert to Islam or kill them.
Now, I've been reading a lot that there's a group called the Muslim Brotherhood, and they have more meetings in the White House than almost any group I can hear of. Bottom line, what is the goal of the Muslim Brotherhood?
The actual goal of the Brotherhood is to put a president in the White House who is a Muslim, to take over Congress, to take over the Senate. I know it sounds crazy, but that's their goals. Because Muhammad said, you've got to conquer the world and put in Sharia law and make the world Islamic. So they're doing it in a much nicer way, not with the ISIS style, but they're going into the government, they're going into universities.
I'll tell you what, hold that thought, because what you're about ready to hear, I have never, ever seen anywhere in America, commonplace in Israel, but it's being hidden from us in America. We'll discuss this when I come back.
We'll be right back to It's Supernatural.
Call now and get Shira Sorko-Ram's must-have combination book and prophetic 4-part teaching series on 2 DVDs, The Secret Radical Islamic Plot to Conquer America, and Shira's latest in-depth investigative Israel report, Iran, The Great Debate. And as a bonus, you will receive the acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck. All yours for a donation of $45. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9312. Through Shira's book, DVD series, and special Israel report, you will learn about all the advances Islam is making in America and worldwide to implement Sharia law. Find out about Islam's hidden agendas that are taking hold right now in a city near you. Discover the names of the Muslim radicals who have positions in the U.S. government. Understand why Islam is not a religion of peace. Hear the words of warning concerning the Iran nuclear agreement by former Israeli National Security Advisor Major General Yaakov Amadror. Find out the 9 keys of what you can do to help derail the Islamic hidden agenda and to bring revival to America, Israel, the Middle East, and the world. As long as quantities last, you will receive as a special bonus this acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck, a strong, bold Christian journalist, an expert on terrorism who has written for the Jewish Post, the Wall Street Journal, and has frequently appeared on CNN and Fox News. And remember, through your investment in this ministry, you will be helping to bring the good news of the gospel to Jews, Arabs, and everyone through our worldwide outreaches. Don't miss out on getting Shira Sorko-Ram's must-have combination book and prophetic 4-part teaching series on 2 DVDs, The Secret Radical Islamic Plot to Conquer America, and Shira's latest in-depth investigative Israel report, Iran, The Great Debate. And as a bonus, you will receive the acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck. All yours for a donation of $45. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9312. Call or you can send your check to Sid Roth. It's Supernatural, P.O. Box 39222, Charlotte, North Carolina 28278. Please specify offer number 9312 or log on to sidroth.org. Call or write today.
We now return to It's Supernatural.
Sid Roth here with Shira Sorko-Ram, and you know, we would have never known the hidden agenda of the Muslim Brotherhood if there wasn't an accident, and I don't believe in accidents. I believe that it was the hand of God. What happened with this woman taking pictures?
Right. A few years ago, there was a woman who was in her hijab, her Muslim dress, and she was taking pictures of the Chesapeake Bridge. And it looked kind of suspicious, so the police stopped her. And then they found that her driver had been arrested for stuff with Hamas. Mm-hmm. And so they searched this person's house, El Barassi is his name, and they found in the basement hidden 2 truckloads of materials, of plans and purposes and strategies of the Muslim Brotherhood. This opened up to the United States for everyone who wanted to know, I'm talking about in the government, to find out what the Muslim Brotherhood was up to. And it's out there. In fact, I found it on a government website.
Well, how come we don't have it in the newspapers in America?
Why?
I mean, this is like their strategy, their hidden strategy. Well, there were 5 major points, briefly summarized.
Yes.
What is the strategy of the Muslim Brotherhood?
It's stealth. First of all, you can lie. You can lie in Islam. It's called taqiyya. You can lie if it will advance Islam.
Wait a second. The United States is bending over backwards to make a nuclear deal with Iran. Yep. And you're telling me that if they agree to anything, they can lie and they're okay with their God?
Absolutely. Taqiyya is legal, and not only do you are you allowed, but you must to advance Islam, you must do whatever is possible to do that, including to lie. Yes. And so the way you start is very, very quietly. You know, you build little, what they call prayer groups. You bring people in and you tell them, don't tell anybody else that we are meeting, but we want to bring you into Islam. They don't start out telling them the revolutionary part. They just say, you know, the true religion is Islam, and the true God is Allah, and Muhammad is God's representative. So they really drill that into them. And then as they see somebody becoming very devout, they take him aside and begin to indoctrinate him that there is a very important job for every true Muslim to do, and that is to help make the world Islamic, a caliphate of Islam with Sharia law. You do it by jihad. And as I said before, 98% of the talk about jihad in the biography of Muhammad is definitely sword. So tell me briefly their strategy. There were 5 points. Yes. Okay, so after you get these leaders and you start working with them quietly, you don't do anything. You don't do anything to cause a problem, but then you begin to work with the mass media, the newspapers, the TVs, and you explain to them what is true Islam. It's very nice, there's nothing bad about it, there's nothing, just these fanatics out here, you know, and so you get the press on your side. And then as the numbers grow and the converts come in and you put up more organizations, there's more organizations in Islam that you could possibly imagine in the United States. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of charitable organizations and all kinds of stuff. And then the next thing is to get into the universities and get your people in there, get your professors in there, and really push Islam. And you get congressmen in there, get Muslim congressmen, and then you get to a certain level where you have enough Muslims, then you can begin the pressure. If anybody speaks against Islam, you sue them, you talk about them, you say this is Islamophobia. And you work in that way, in pressure, get the government. They're working on laws, you know, to make it against the law to talk against Islam. There's no law that they're talking about to talk against Christianity or anything like that, just Islam. But the final goal then is to put in the White House a president, a Muslim president, and to turn the laws into Sharia law in the United States.
2 questions. Number 1, how close are we to their final goal, to have put a president in the White House?
Well, in this house where they dug up these 2 truckloads of stuff, the people that were working on these plans said, well, we're going through 4. We're in the 4th one.
Fourth phase.
The 4th phase. And they were thinking that by, now I didn't read that in this particular report, but I read where some of them are saying they feel like by 2050, they can have a president in the White House. Now, it could be sooner. It could be sooner.
Okay, Sharia law. Briefly, very briefly.
Right.
What are the some basic elements of it?
Basic elements is that a woman's testimony is only half as true as a man. A man can divorce his wife with 3 words, I divorce you. A woman cannot divorce. You can have 4 wives. And if you're conquering and bringing in conquered people, you can have all the slaves you want. The women are simply downtrodden. If a woman is raped, you have to have 4 men who witnessed it. Otherwise, it doesn't stand up in court.
How could any woman ever want to be under Sharia law?
I can't imagine.
How could any sane human ever want to be under Sharia law? When we come back, wait till you hear the 2 smoking guns we're going to talk about. How they're invading the college campuses and winning, and how they're exploiting sex as a means for ISIS to get troops. Be right back.
We'll be right back to It's Supernatural.
If you love watching our It's Supernatural TV program, you can now watch hundreds of archive programs online, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on your computer, your smartphone, your iPad, or your favorite tablet.
ISN will be the vehicle to equip you to being normal. Normal as defined by the Bible.
Just log on to sidroth.org/ISN.
We now return to It's Supernatural.
Sid Roth here with Shira Sorko-Ram, and Shira, you tell me, based on your research, that American universities are opening their doors to the Islamic agenda. It's so hard for me to believe. What are they doing in universities?
Well, here's an example. I saw a video where a pro-Israeli activist got a flag of ISIS and just put it around him and walked down the steps of one of the California universities. And as he did, the guys and girls going by, they'd say, "Oh, hi, bro, hi." And there was nothing against the ISIS flag. And then a few minutes later, he put an Israeli flag against him. He began to get spit at and yelled at and cursed at. That's what's going on in the universities. You see, that's a target. The universities, they know that in a few years, the graduates of these big universities, they're going to be in Congress. They're going to be in government. They're going to be the people who make the decisions for America. And so they have really targeted.
As a matter of fact, I read in the newspaper just yesterday that there's an ISIS group right outside of Texas in Mexico training to invade the United States, and they're going to let the mafia type people in Mexico are escorting them into the United States. You told me about this sexual exploitation of ISIS, which is what is the big attraction of ISIS to these young men? Tell me briefly.
Well, in the biographies of Muhammad, he gives instructions to his followers to go out and conquer land, conquer peoples for Islam. And when you conquer them, all the possessions are yours. And the men you kill, if they're heathen, and you can actually rape the wives in front of the men before you kill them. It's right there. It's in there, his instructions.
No, I've never heard this in the American press.
No, you haven't.
But where we are right at this moment, is Islam winning?
It is winning in that it is increasing at a very rapid pace in America. And because the press has squashed it, nothing about it in the press, because the universities are growing in influence, and because of the White House now accepting many advisors from the Muslim Brotherhood, it's growing. It's growing very fast. And I think, you know, even in these little towns, my son-in-law was in Alabama, in a small town. There was a huge center, Muslim center. And he was saying, what could such a big center be for such a little town? But they're going up, they're building all over the United States, putting their footprint all over the U.S., and they plan to take over. They really do. I just finished an article on the Shiite belief of the Mahdi, M-A-H-D-I, Mahdi.
This is their version of their Messiah. Yeah.
And they are working, Iran today, that is their central focus, is to bring the Mahdi back. The Mahdi's going to come when there's war and when people are really out there with the sword and jihad and killing the Christians and killing the rest of the heathen. Then the Mahdi's going to come.
So that may be why they're pushing so hard to get nuclear bombs.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. Now, when the Mahdi comes back, according to the Shiites, Jesus is also going to come back. He's going to be the Mahdi's assistant.
Well, that's
and he's going to be a prophet, and he's going to come and explain how what people believed about him before as the Son of God is a lie. It's not true. And he's going to help the Mahdi convert the whole world to Islam. That is the Shiite belief. That's what's going on.
Why do you say Israel's the key to understanding the end times?
Because I have seen from my lifetime when a Christian leader or just layman doesn't understand God's plan for Israel, they don't understand the importance of Israel. They don't understand that Allah is not God. How do we know? Because God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God is the God of Israel. So if we leave all that out, well, we're open to, well, Allah, maybe it's the same God, see? But Allah hates Israel. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob loves Israel. They're not the same God. So unless people are tuned into what the Bible says about Israel, Old Testament, New Testament, it says in Romans 11 that the day is going to come when Israel returns to God, and it's going to be like life from the death for the whole world. So Israel has to come to salvation at the same time, the great outpouring of God upon the world.
I got news for you. We serve the living God. I want to concentrate on the good news. And the good news is He's coming back soon. He loves you. And if you take a little step towards Him, He's going to run and He's going to put His arm around you, and you're going to experience true love, not Hollywood love, but you're going to experience true love. Just tell God you're sorry. That's a good start for the mistakes you've made. And say, Yeshua, become real to me. Say with your mouth, I make you Lord of my life. Come inside, help me understand you. Read your Bible, and come on, join the happiest people on earth. Yeshua, Jesus, the King of the Jews. Get with it. Get a little excited for the only thing worth being excited, Jesus.
Direct from Israel, Shira Sorko-Ram uncovers and documents the last 7 years of USA White House policies that have given Islam a foothold and advantage in conquering North America from within.
I've watched Islam from Israel for 47 years, and all of us know how evil it is. ISIS and Al-Qaeda, their agenda is to kill everybody that doesn't agree with them. Now that sounds like it's so foreign to Western civilization and Judeo-Christian religion.
You will not fully understand end-time Bible prophecy without the information Shira Sorko-Ram will share with you. Call now and get Shira Sorko-Ram's must-have combination book and prophetic 4-part teaching series on 2 DVDs, The Secret Radical Islamic Plot to Conquer America, and Shira's latest in-depth investigative Israel report, Iran, The Great Debate. And as a bonus, you will receive the acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck. All yours for a donation of $45. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9312. Through Shira's book, DVD series, and special Israel report, you will learn about all the advances Islam is making in America and worldwide to implement Sharia law. Find out about Islam's hidden agendas that are taking hold right now in a city near you. Discover the names of the Muslim radicals who have positions in the U.S. government. Understand why Islam is not a religion of peace. Hear the words of warning concerning the Iran nuclear agreement by former Israeli National Security Advisor Major General Yaakov Amadror. Find out the 9 keys of what you can do to help derail the Islamic hidden agenda and to bring revival to America, Israel, the Middle East, and the world.
Here we have the Muslim Brotherhood getting the media on their side, government positions, getting professors to stand with Islam. Their goal is to take over the United States of America and see a Muslim president in position to help them bring Sharia law into the whole nation.
As long as quantities last, you will receive as a special bonus this acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck, a strong, bold Christian journalist, an expert on terrorism who has written for the Jewish Post, the Wall Street Journal, and has frequently appeared on CNN and Fox News.
And you say, it couldn't happen in America. Well, look what's already happened in every other arena you can think of that you might have said it couldn't happen in America. I want to get this in your hands. I want you to give this to as many young people as possible. I want you to read it yourself, because if the press won't say anything, you just can't be an ostrich. You have to know the facts. So I urge you to get this.
And remember, through your investment in this ministry, you will be helping to bring the good news of the gospel to Jews, Arabs, and everyone through our worldwide outreaches. Don't miss out on getting Shira Sorko-Ram's must-have combination book and prophetic 4-part teaching series on 2 DVDs, The Secret Radical Islamic Plot to Conquer America, and Shira's latest in-depth investigative Israel report, Iran, The Great Debate. And as a bonus, you will receive the acclaimed hardcover book, The Muslim Brotherhood, America's Next Great Enemy by Eric Stakelbeck. All yours for a donation of $45. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9312. Call or you can send your check to Sid Roth. It's Supernatural. P.O. Box 39222, Charlotte, North Carolina 28278. Please specify offer number 9312 or log on to sidroth.org. Call or write today.
Next week on It's Supernatural, my guest experienced the wild love, you heard me right, the wild love of God. Trust me, this show is going to be wild.
Your gifts to this ministry will help Sid air It's Supernatural in Israel 28 times a week and distribute his evangelistic book to the Jewish people worldwide.